Hi, everyone. Welcome to Mini Scroll, the daily internet culture podcast bringing you the biggest stories from social media, the creator economy, and the digital space every Monday through Thursday. I'm your host, Lauren Meisner, the founder of the youth digital media brand Centennial World. Welcome back to Mini Scroll, everyone. Day 2 of this chaotic studio setup. I have been busy prepping, recording all of the podcast episodes for our series, and I had a question on what the series is called. Does it have a name? So it does. It is called Let the Girls Game because it is powered by Let's Sing. And also Let the Girls Game, like the whole point is like women in gaming, like just like let them be. Like let them have fun, let the girls have fun, shut the fuck up, that kind of vibe. Anyways, I have 2 pretty big stories for you guys today, so let's just get right into it. The first story is that MrBeast has launched a new website that dives into detailed stats on any YouTube channel. Staying true to his obsession with analytics, MrBeast has launched his own website called View Stats, where users can, quote, see views, subs, and any advanced data you'd want for any YouTube channel or video. He also wrote on Twitter, I believe knowledge is power, and I want to help creators of all sizes improve their YouTube performance. When asked how View Stats differ from SocialBlade, which is currently the website that most people use to see analytics on social media profiles and posts, he said, we have per video data like 1 out of 10, daily views per video, accurate top charts, A/B thumbnail tracking, etc., etc. So for anyone that doesn't know, A/B thumbnail, that's basically just like a marketing term, A/B testing. So it's like, I guess if a video changes out its thumbnails, I guess View Stats will tell you which thumbnail did better. And 1 out of 10 is just the rating that YouTube's backend gives you when you upload a video. It will give you a rating, 1 out of 10, based on your most 10 recent uploads, like where this video is fitting. So if it's getting more views than, I guess, your last 10 videos, like where it's sitting within that. View Stats was first announced in December 2023 as a collaboration between MrBeast and his employee, Chucky Appleby. This all just feels so on brand for MrBeast. He notoriously became the most subscribed to YouTuber in the world with over 262 million subscribers by being meticulously obsessed with his channel's analytics. And, I did a deep dive on MrBeast at the beginning of the year, and I learned a lot about him. And the biggest, I think, conclusion that I came to was that MrBeast is so hyper fixated on virality. All he cares about is numbers and virality. He does not really care. At least for the last few years, he does not care about building a narrative around his videos. He doesn't even care about artistic expression. He is not really a creator. He is a marketer. When asked about his career goals on the Colin and Samir podcast, he said, quote, what's the point of making a video if no one watches it? And then he also talked about how his goal always is to have 70% or more retention rate on his videos, which is so high for a YouTube video. That is so high. On that same podcast and in other interviews that I watched, he also discussed that first charity porn video that he did, which was also his first brand deal. So he was approached for a brand deal for $5,000 and he convinced the company to give him $10,000 because he wanted to give that money to a homeless person. And he knew that having 10 in the thumbnail and in the title would be much more eye-catching and go much more viral than having 5. So everything he does, from his philanthropy to his brand deals to everything about MrBeast, is all optimized for virality. That's what he cares about. So this, to me, makes perfect sense. I see this as kind of a way for him to prove to the industry and to prove to himself, because I truly believe that MrBeast, at the end of the day, he is trying to feed some internal little Jimmy ego inside of him. And when I say little Jimmy, I mean childhood Jimmy. Everything he does seems to be an ego play. I feel like View Stats, this is the perfect reason for that, right? This is the perfect solution to that. He can basically put his videos and his channel in and compare them to every single channel and every single video in detailed stats and analytics, in such a granular way. He can compare his content and his growth and his channel to everyone else's. That's exactly what he wants. That's his end goal. And, obviously he is the most subscribed to YouTuber, but at any given point, there's probably videos that are going quote unquote more viral than his. If he hasn't uploaded in a while, there's probably videos that are getting more views per hour, per day than his. There's probably channels that are growing percentage wise at a faster rate than him at any given time. So now he can have all that data and he can ensure that he is always number one in every category. And that is terrifying. And I feel like there are some ethical implications to a YouTuber making this platform. I'm interested to see how it goes. All right, speaking of ethical implications, the next story that I have for you guys, this one actually came out at the end of last week, but I didn't see it until today. So influencer Grace Beverly has been penalized in a, quote, landmark ruling for influencer marketing. So British fitness influencer Grace Beverly has been penalized for 6 videos that she posted advertising her own clothing brand. Grace has over 1 million followers on Instagram and over 150,000 followers on TikTok, and she is one of the most high-profile influencers in the world, like fitness influencers worldwide. In 2019, Grace launched her own clothing brand called Tala, and it got in some hot water at the end of last year. So back in October, Grace shared 2 reels and 4 TikToks promoting a new coat from Tala. Those posts received over 50 complaints from just general users, people that saw them, about deceptive influencer marketing, as Grace did not disclose that the posts were ads. One creator at Alice is Gratified on TikTok made a video about Grace's videos, calling them out as undisclosed ads, given Grace did not openly say that she owned the company Tala. Grace's lawyers threatened to sue Alice with a defamation lawsuit, and Alice took down some of the videos that she made on the situation. At the time, Tala argued that Grace was, quote, synonymous with the business and that her followers would know that. I think that's not really the issue here, though. If you think about the TikTok For You page and how content is literally, in Reels too, but especially TikTok, it's just fed to you. You have no perspective on what you're seeing or who you're watching. And according to the BBC, they reported, quote, it said her connection to Tala was also made clear in her TikTok and Instagram bios and pointed out references in the videos to the coat being made in factories we literally had to beg at the door to get into. These reels were posted jointly with Tala's Instagram account, while the TikToks were shared in a playlist Grace had labeled aggressive marketing. Tala made the case that all these factors combined would have made it clear to users that the posts were for marketing purposes. Despite this, on May 22nd, the situation was resolved as the ASA, which is the UK's Advertising Standards Authority, ruled that Grace did break advertising rules and was ordered to take those 6 videos down from October. In a follow-up regarding this resolution, Alice made a video saying that she initially called Grace out on TikTok to show consumers how social media influencers, quote, are using their personal social media accounts to advertise their business products without disclosing them as commercial communications to their audiences. And the director of complaints for the ASA called this case precedent setting. Quote, social media influencers who are also brand owners must now mark their brand-related content as ads, says the ad watchdog as it cracks down on unlabeled cross-pollination, writes Marketing Week about this resolution. So this is really interesting because there are so many mixed opinions when it comes to this situation in general, not just the ruling, but the fact that they entertained this, because I agree with what Alice said, where she called it commercial communications. And when you think about Grace and her company as separate legal entities, it makes sense because Grace, I guess technically, even if she wasn't being directly paid for those videos, let's say through Tala, which I'm assuming she wasn't, obviously if she drives traffic to Tala and people buy that, that's money that's kind of indirectly in her pocket because she owns the company, but they are legal entities. So she is doing advertising for a different brand, for someone that is not her. She would have something around herself. I don't know what it would be in the UK, but here in Australia, it's called an ABN, which is basically what you have. It's you're not a company when you're a sole trader, but it's how you work as a sole trader and it's how you get paid as a freelancer and stuff like that. So she would have something like that related to her person for brand deals, I presume. And then Tala is like a completely separate, like actual incorporated company entity. I mean, she might be like her own like brand deal stuff might be incorporated and stuff too, but like they're separate, right? So yes, it is, I guess, technically an ad, even if she's not being directly paid for it, and even if it is like the brand that she owns. However, on the flip side of what people are saying is like, okay, so then, and obviously this is in the UK, so it's different in every country, but like if we're going to take this as like precedent setting, why can't I say that? Precedent setting, then, you know, if Rihanna is talking about Fenty Beauty on her Instagram stories, for example, does she then need to disclose that that's an ad? Because she owns a share, a stake, whatever, of Fenty. It's not clear that she owns it. Like there's tons of people in the world that probably have no idea Rihanna is associated with Fenty. So how does that work? Or if you're posting about your own company on LinkedIn, do you need to say that it's an ad? Or like me, like I make TikTok day in the life videos. I have less than 1,000 followers. I just kind of got back into it. And I talk about Centennial and I talk about this podcast. They are separate legal entities to me. And someone might find it on the For You page and, I don't know, subscribe to the podcast or want to work with Centennial or something because of my content. I guess it's a little different because I'm not selling like direct to consumer, but still, do I need to disclose when I'm sharing like a day in the life and I'm like showing the office and talking about the business? Do I need to share that that's an ad? Like that's where people are confused, is like there's a lack of clarity now about like what the guidelines are then. So I think that's the main criticism, is like if the ASA is going to say this is like a landmark ruling, this is setting a new precedent, then there needs to be much clearer guidelines about like what that precedent is. Like, what does that actually mean? And I don't know, like I talked about this a little bit. You guys will hear the episode on Friday, but I talked about this with my guest for my Friday episode, Meredith Lynch, who's a TikTok star, obviously an influencer creator. And we talked about different like scams that influencers get involved in, including affiliate links and all that stuff. And one of the things we talked about was that like early days of influencing, definitely different now, but early days, like people probably had no idea. Influencers like Jaclyn Hill was always called out for not disclosing affiliate links. I know that's been an ongoing problem, but in the early days, like people probably like who were influencers probably actually just didn't know. And I know that Grace has been an influencer for a long time, but I think there is such a gray area between like what is considered an ad when you own the company as an influencer versus, you know, what is just you promoting a company that you own? Like, I don't know. It's very confusing. So that's the biggest criticism against this, is like, we need now more clarity on what all of this means. Anyways, guys, that's it for today. Thank you so much for listening to Mini Scroll. Please rate, review, and subscribe. It helps me so much. It helps me grow. I love you guys, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Bye.